Hello, everybody. I was 100% sure that James was going to come up first. And then I was supposed to come up after, then James was going to come up again. But I'll do this here now. And, there we go. So what I wanted to do here, quick, by the way, I'll just introduce myself a little bit here. I'm Gillis LaValle. I really appreciate the call forward, and I'm actually, well, we all are, I guess, from Treaty 4. I'm a band member from a community called Bogusz First Nation, just over here by Broadview, and that's where my roots are. I was born and raised in Regina, and spent 30 years with the bureaucrat with the government, and now I'm hanging out with James on the airport board, and having a lot of fun and learning quite a bit. But I'll just introduce, or I'll just talk about some of these different names here for our what we have as a board of director. And well, actually, I won't go through a lot of these, but what I will mention is that these positions here, different entities have appointments onto here. So the province has one appointment, the federal government has a couple of appointments, the city has some appointments. The RM Sherwood, because that's where the case is us, they have an appointment. And because I was just having this discussion, we were sitting here having, and somebody was saying we should have a more community representative rather than maybe a zone or an area or something, right? How you can turn that, or to have different types of aspects of involvement here. And one of the things I think that James will bring up here is the way that we do things there is that those are some of the ideas that we're continuously looking at. When we have our committee meetings, we continuously look at things that we can do to change and to make things different or a little better, and something that we're always, I guess, kind of working on. We have to evolve continuously. And for the recovery process that we just experienced here through COVID, and James will touch a little bit on that. I mean, these were all really, really hard things that we had as an entity to try to survive. But James got so many good things coming up here. Was there one more? And here we go, some of our responsibilities and some of our roles that we play. So strategic determination, performance. This board that we sit on here is it's a governance board, right? Like, we don't get directly involved with day-to-day operations because we have a great staff in place and our CEO that operates our company, right? But you always have to have that governance aspect to it and that relationship back and forth. So a lot of this here is based on our responsibilities and our roles. And nowhere does it say in there Gillis gets his sister-in-law a job in HR. So we do follow the governance process here set up really well. And from that point, I want to thank you guys so much for inviting us out here today, but I'd like to get my friend James up here to carry it on.
Thanks, brother. Well, thank you so much, Gillis. And just also want to say a big thank you for the turnout. I originally asked Jocelyn who was going to actually introduce to the room. Jocelyn, if you could wave to the room as she looks at me saying, oh my God. And also joined by Kyla, who works in our marketing and communications area. Give him a wave, Kyla. And last, but certainly not least, our other board member, Mr. Bill Pratt. He's actually proudly displaying one of our golf shirts we created this year. Take a look at this thing. Yeah, Joe. He's trying to have fun in the airport. And I think I do know some in the room. It's nice to see some familiar faces. My name is James Bogusz. I'm proudly the president and CEO of, in my opinion, the best mid-sized airport in Canada, Regina, Saskatchewan. I've been actually CEO for almost 7 years now. I've been to Weyburn multiple times for meetings like this. I've also been to Estevan, Swift Current, Moose Jaw. We do a bit of a circuit because we love to hear from the business community. So even though I'm going to go through some updates today, there will be plenty of time for questions, but during my remarks, if something just strikes you in the moment, this is not a big room, stop, ask a question. Just put your hand up, and I will be watching for that. This is an opportunity to give some feedback. I think though, for sort of setting the tone and for context, I want to make sure that this room understands the role that the company I oversee plays. We are a private business. We are not the government. So I don't expect you to have to worry about all the intricacies of who's who in my airport terminal, but we have many functions that are government within the terminal that we, as our company, oversee. Things like Canada Border Services. Oh, we got prizes by the way. That's what she's going out. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, there will be a test. It's very easy. There will be a test. But we have people like Canada Border Services for international arrivals. The people who take your dignity for 2 minutes while you go through a one or scanner. They're from the government. They're called CAPSA. They're wonderful people. I'm just joking. But they're paid for by the government. We have a not-for-profit business. We are truly private. We've got an 80-year lease with 55 years left. So we lease this land from the federal government. And the board of today appoints a CEO, as Phyllis had said, to run the operation. My whole team is just over 50 men and women. Most of them, like a municipality, are what we call outside workers, equipment operators, firefighters, electricians, maintenance personnel who fix the facilities. A small group of us, including people like Kyla and Jocelyn, join me for what I would call management or work that's done that's not part of maintaining the airfield. It's a really cool balance. I've been in the industry about 23 years. My first airport was Victoria, BC, and I moved out here back in, it was winter of 2018. I'll never forget that. But I love it here. My wife, we're big cat nerds. We have 5 rescue cats. My wife and I love Saskatchewan. It's become our home. My mom and dad actually were in Regina in the 1970s. That's how I heard about it. And they loved living on Duty Avenue. It's just kind of a cool vibe. My brother was born in Regina, but I was born in Victoria. But what I had with this airport is an opportunity to make a big impact in a community that I now love. And that's the 16th busiest in the country. We're not small. We're not Toronto Pearson. We're not going to be. But we're a nice mid-sized Canadian airport. So just for context, the reason why we're here today, I love talking to chambers. We're proud chamber members. We're part of your chamber, part of the Regina Chamber, and many others. But this airport is not Regina's airport, it's Southern Saskatchewan's airport. Weyburn matters. You guys matter. The community in this whole community in your catchment area matters. You use this airport. And I know you've got options. You can drive to other airports, you can drive south of the border. The choice is yours. But I'm here today to give you an update on what we're doing in Regina. We hope you'll consider using our airport as your first point of exit or coming back home. But to do that, we have to make sure that we do our part in building services that you want to use. I can't force airlines to fly to my airport. We're like a mall. I can't make Sears be in my mall. But we can encourage them. And it's not because of my receding hairline that they come. It's because they come because we're affordable. Because you folks use my airport. They come because they have an opportunity to make profit in the market. They are not there for GDP and all the buzzwords you hear politicians say. They've got shareholders or owners that want your money. And I know we all want $80 flights to Vancouver. We actually have those now. I'll talk about that soon. But they need to make profit or they're not going to come. And you may remember in my last time coming here, we were in a quest to finally restore service to the United States. And that's why one of the big flags that I put up was letting you folks know we've been after a flight to Denver, a flight to Minneapolis, or a flight to Chicago for quite some time. But this is the fun part of the job. In reality, our airport, like Victoria, where I'm from, and Kelowna and Saskatchewan, we feed major Canadian hubs. That's our bread and butter. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, companies like Air Canada, other than the bad news we're hearing right now about the potential to strike this weekend or lockout, and that's very real, by the way, folks. We hope it doesn't happen. I don't have any inside information. We're talking about this at our table. They don't tell me like tips, oh, it's just a big media thing. We'll know when you know. Literally, we'll hear about it from Air Canada when you hear about it. But what I'm telling you is, this airline is about 38% of our total seats in our airport is Air Canada. They operate big planes to Toronto. It's called Rouge. They operate turbo propellers currently currently into Vancouver, which should not be affected if the strike happens. But as I was sharing with my colleagues at the table, if I was Air Canada and there was a big strike, they might redeploy those turbo propellers somewhere else. I don't know what they would do yet. They don't tell us in advance. But this is very concerning. Air Canada has been a great partner, and like this chamber, they came August 28th, like just not even a month ago, and I had 3 executives out from Montreal and Toronto and come talk to my chamber and the business community in Regina. It was wonderful. And they made a firm commitment to continue to add capacity, to improve the aircraft. You're going to see some kind of variety in aircraft in the future. They've got a lot of more, what I call modern and comfortable aircraft. You're going to see more of those in Canada coming. They made a firm commitment. They made it clear that Southern Saskatchewan matters to them. And I can say, just like I'm getting a great turnout today, our business community in Regina showed up and they appreciated it. It was very noticed. And they talked about the importance of Southern Saskatchewan. So rest assured, Air Canada appreciates our province. They certainly appreciate what we do for them as an airport, which is to keep our fees low so they can make money on those tickets that they're selling. This is a very important message I want to give you. And part of this, I was so thrilled. I'm sure if you follow us on Facebook, I do these videos every so often. We also get on social media. We go on traditional media as well. Hopefully we get some coverage from today. Hint, hint. This was a big deal for us. Regina was started being served out of our airport in 21 during the pandemic, but it was always shared with Saskatoon. We did give them a very significant incentive this year to stop sharing with Saskatoon, and we've done a true non-stop both ways for the first time in our history this summer. It was a really big deal for us. Air Canada blessed us with 24% seat improvement in total, in more seats to Vancouver and more seats to Toronto than we had the previous year. It was a good year for Regina. WestJet, I mean, this is our dominant carrier. They're about 60+% of the total seats. Oh, and by the way, I forget I'm an airport guy. What I mean by seats is an available seat for you to buy as a customer. The bigger that number grows, the more likely they're not going to be that expensive. It's all supply and demand. Many airlines competing does not necessarily mean your price will be lower. More capacity in the market means your price is better, just so you know. Seats is something we aspire for, because I can't make you buy the flight, but I'm trying to encourage the airline to sell you the flight in my market. That's what I have some little bit of control over, at least to encourage them. This service was very popular, and it was a premium price service. These were not cheap tickets. They did very well on these, but it was a non-stop few days a week to Kelowna. Great if you haven't been late country, but also getting people from Kelowna to come check out Saskatchewan. Don't assume that people don't want to come here too. Please don't quote me, newspaper, please. We had a little tourism issue you might have heard about a year and a half ago. That's all better now, just so you know. Jennifer Johnson, if you hear the name, she's amazing, and she's our new tourism manager for the city. We moved past that, but we wouldn't have been advertising last year. This year, we're advertising again. People are coming back, and it's about Southern Saskatchewan. Come check out the South Province. Okay. I had an American flag. I'm guessing the Chamber, of course, helped us broadcast that in Weyburn, but we were thrilled that after many, many years of trying, we have finally restored a daily, non-stop flight to the United States with a WestJet and Delta codeshare. This is a big deal. I'm going to pause for applause. I get zero credit. I was telling my colleagues, this is airlines, we did incent the heck out of this flight. All you've heard about publicly is the small amount of provincial money we took, $500,000. It's a lot more than that. We raised a bunch of private money. I'm a taxpayer. Saskatoon took $2.2 million for theirs. I only took $500,000. I'm of the view that we have to also pay our way. We have a private company, our chamber members. It's not just about what taxpayers can do for you. So we worked with our hotel association locally. We worked with a couple of other agencies. Let's just say we did our part by not putting it on the back of the taxpayer. And I'm also proud to tell you that your Southern Saskatchewan Airport come the end of October will be the only of the 2 airports with a daily service. Saskatoon's going back to 3 days a week. Because we have the right size plane. It's not too big. I would love a big jet. Everyone loves big jets. The reality is we only need so many seats to go back and forth. We made the right call, and flight. We wanted it like a year before we got it, but we don't want the wrong plane because frankly, this money I'm talking about, all it is an insurance policy. We don't give WestJet money, we just make sure that if they don't make enough, we top up the route. It's called a guarantee. It is not a subsidy. Let me say this again. This is not a subsidized flight and we're going to pay you to operate. This is a capitalist commercial company, but we have to get them to get it off the ground. And the way we do that is we stimulate, saying we'll assure you enough profit with a guarantee. I want to make the distinction. So, if you haven't taken the flight, when you travel to the US in the future, please consider this. You can buy it on Delta website or you can buy it on WestJet's website. There's about 70 US connections. I just went to Grand Rapids for work. It was kind of a cool town. If you haven't been to Grand Rapids, actually, it's a pretty cool vibe down there. It was on Saturday for meetings. Yes, Ford, I had to work on a Saturday. I had to stack some overtime. No, I'm kidding. But I took the flight and it was great. And it got me down in record time. You used to have to take one extra airport to get to Grand Rapids. I was able to go right from Regina in the morning, I think it was about 8:15 departure, into Grand Rapids, very quick customs, took maybe 20 minutes. I sat at my gate, checked out the airport, which is Minneapolis, which is huge. If you haven't been, oh my God, it's a big airport. It's got a mall in the middle, crazy big. And then basically flew right to Grand Rapids. And I was there for, I think, 3:30 in the afternoon. It went really well with Delta, and Delta took me to there. So check it out, price-wise, very reasonable. And I would ask you to consider supporting the flight, and hopefully we don't have to pay the insurance policy if you, use the service. It's been pretty popular. Okay, I'm almost done on air service. I'm going to pause for questions. At least have questions on air service. This was a really big deal, and we went out on the mountaintops. We shouted this out. WestJet did a big national news release for our province. So they made, it's July 22nd. I'm not expecting you to read the date. This is very recent news. They made a big commitment to both Saskatchewan and Regina, and they increased our seat capacity this winter in my airport by 32% year over year. We normally get like 5%, 2%. You never get double digits, and you never get like 30 anything. Saskatchewan got 24. I'm not against them. They got no bridges. They got a better city. They're in the capital. Okay, we love it. But I mean this because we have really gone to that with WestJet, and we've worked really hard to make a relationship that they can count on. We're reliable as an airport partner. We give them really reasonable landing fees. They don't have to pay a lot to land in their airport. That's why they blessed us with the service. So what this means in practical terms for you, you're going to see a daily flight to Vancouver. They normally pull that back only a couple days a week. It's a big jet too, huge jet. You're going to have daily service to Toronto. Then you're going to have tons of service in Calgary as you'd expect. And please remember, Edmonton and Winnipeg are also going to be served on a daily basis. And Edmonton specifically is going to like 12 times a week. And that's a big market for us. It's not just because of Edmonton. It's where Edmonton can also connect you to. It's actually quite a growing airport, so it's something to look at. I want to give Calgary a shout out though. We often, and I don't know why, I think it's just the way it is, I have to accept this. I think we sometimes feel like, oh, we gotta go to Calgary for everything. Good, it's their global hub. This is where they have their entire fleet based on. This is a good problem to have when you're 1 hour by jet and about an hour and 20 by turboprop, because that's where you can go to Tokyo from in one stop. That's where you can go to Europe in one stop. One stop, folks. Sometimes people say, why can't I have non-stops everywhere? Because they don't make the airlines any money. And if they did, they'd be flying them. But the fact that we live geographically so close to where they base their Boeing 787 from, you are blessed. My old community, Victoria, Calgary's a ways to go. They had Vancouver. We are right by WestJet's headquarters. This is a good place to be. So when it comes to WestJet, they still do give us really good direct service, but it's winter. This winter, and we just posted on Facebook, what was it, last week? We literally went out. We've got our 3 U.S. destinations back, so you're getting weekly Vegas, weekly Orlando, and not Orlando's the weakest of the 3, but Orlando for kind of December on, and then you're getting weekly Phoenix. You're also getting 6 sun destinations, so 3 Mexico, you're getting 2 to a Dominican, and you're getting 1 to Cuba between Sunwing and WestJet. They're both owned by WestJet. So Sunwing's got its own little brand, but WestJet owns the company. Lots of capacity. Lots of capacity. So if you haven't booked your winter trip, take a look at what they got. And it's not flying the day of the week you want. Go through Calgary. You can get a flight out of Calgary to tons of places, but it's still within the WestJet ecosystem. The last thing I want to say on the seasonal service, the non-stops won't stay if we don't use them also as non-stops. So please, when you're booking your flight, WestJet especially, you can kind of check, what day the return is. Even if you take a non-stop in one of the directions, it really helps fill loads. And quite often the price is reasonable. Depends how full the plane is. Okay, I'm going to pause on air service, but I'm going to brag about WestJet one last time. This is a new thing if you haven't heard about it. In June of this year, so recent news, to compete with Flair Airlines, the last remaining ultra-low-cost carrier in the country. And by the way, I had Flair 2 years. It wasn't very popular. Doesn't matter what you hear on the internet. 2 years I had them. I incented the heck out of them to fly here. They announced all these routes. They weren't overly reliable for our market. I mean, they canceled quite a bit. People weren't very happy with it. So WestJet wants to vanquish their foes, so to speak, and they have now introduced an ultra basic fare class. If you haven't heard of this, it's like Flair Airlines, meaning no bag, no points. I jokingly say they charge you for toilet paper. They don't use that. It means everything's extra. Bags are extra. Carry-on is extra. You get to bring a personal item like Flair for the one price. But the prices are ridiculously cheap. This is one-way fares to Calgary. I took a screenshot. $78. $78. Normally they like $200, $215, $220. $78. Toronto, I've seen a lot of flights, $105, $103. If you add a bag, it'll double your fare, like you would with Flair. But here's the difference. When you have Calgary with an ultra basic, they're flying like 6 times a day. If one of your flights gets delayed or canceled, they're probably going to get you on another flight. If you've got a flight or an airline coming in twice a week, even if it's a big plane and you miss your flight, you wait 3 days. So this has been a blessing. This has driven significant traffic. And my board member just found this out today. They're going to now hear publicly. The media hasn't even heard, I'm going to tell you. We just got our August numbers yesterday. Thanks to Weyburn and other communities who use our airport, I'm proud to share with you that we hit 102% of 2019 levels in August of this year. Means we rebounded beyond where we were back in 2019. Can you clap, please? Because when prices come down, people are more likely to go to a game, especially trading stamps, for example, with riders. You might jump on for $78. You don't need a lot of luggage with you. It's not for everybody, but it's for those who have flown with Flair Airlines. So very happy about that. Okay, final slide on air service, and then I'll take questions, and I'm going to quickly talk about a few things going on in the terminals we're really proud of. Porter. Just in case you don't know, we talk with all the airlines. We talk with United, American, Porter. Like, nobody is not getting calls by Regina. They don't get tired of us, but we make sure we stay in their ear to remind them about how inexpensive it is to come to Regina, Saskatchewan and make money. This airline, of course, we've been talking with them now for the better part of 2 years. Porter's currently in Saskatoon. Saskatoon is the 14th busiest airport in the country. I'm number 16. They will come. They need more jets to be delivered. I'm trying to be optimistic and tell you, I can't guarantee anything. I can just tell you that they've been very serious about 2025. But this will be just more flights to Toronto. We've asked them for Ottawa. Ottawa's not currently served. We love Toronto too, but we think that we can roll out the right carpet with incentives if they go to a new market like Ottawa nonstop. What I don't do, and if you ever earn my job, maybe a tip on how to be an airport CEO, you don't give an incentive on the same route to a different airline and piss off all your carriers. I shouldn't say that word, but fake the carriers. What you do is you look for new routes. We can market them and tell people about them, but it's not fair for those Air Canadas and WestJet. You don't discount one, and your guys who've been supporting you the whole time don't get the same deal. That's not right. Not right in my view. It's certainly not for my airport. But Porter is serious. They got 132-seat aircraft, beautifully configured. The brand here is not well known unless you were flying in the past at a Billy Bishop, which is Toronto Island Airport. Porter means nothing. It's going to take them some time to go for everywhere else. I was a little worried for them because Costco, if you're I know small businesses here and I want to support small business, but Costco is selling a $500 Porter certificate for $450. It's not good when the airline's discounting cash off the top. but I think it's to create some awareness for Saskatchewan. And that's not an advertisement to buy more, I was telling you. That just shows me, they wouldn't be giving you 10% off, they didn't have to. But we are hopeful that we'll see these guys in hopefully early 25, maybe May or June for the summer season. And what they've been talking about is a daily service to Toronto to compete with Air Canada and WestJet. But we are pushing on Ottawa every time we can. Okay, before I go any further on my presentation, I have 2 extra slides. I want to talk about the terminal. I'd like to open up for questions on air service. Seats, word seats I keep using. If you're a board member or CEO, you just want to see this blue line keep going that direction, and it is. It just means that seats are rebounding big time. And of course, the passengers are doing that as well, thanks to people like you in this room. So let's take a pause. Air service questions. What do you want to know? What can I answer? Please.
So how competitive are Regina's landing fees compared to other medium-sized airports and big airports?
So the only airports in Canada that would be less expensive than us are the wimpy ones with no winter, where I'm from, Victoria. No snow. I'm serious, it's expensive. That's it. Regina is one of the least expensive mid-sized Canadian airports. What we compare ourselves to are Quebec, Saskatchewan, Kelowna, Victoria. We go as low as Fort McMurray. Those poor guys, they've had a whole pile of challenges in the oil field. It's not fair to really compare them. They have to raise their fees. My big comparable is also Winnipeg. Not because it's even close in size. Winnipeg is a big airport. It's like 4 times our scale. Like the community's, 750,000 people. But we just look at it as the kind of a watermark because it's in the prairies. Saskatoon, even though I know I was making some jokes saying they're great, they're well run, it's a good airport. I know Stephen Mayfair, the CEO, is a good friend of mine, but we make sure we price ourselves less than them. Because if an airline like WestJet has that capacity I talked about, I want to leave the airport with 32%. I want them to go, we might make a bit more money per seat by operating out of Regina. So that's the answers. Basically, airports number about 18 to about 10. That's who we really compete with in terms of dollars. And we're on the low end. That's just the bottom line, except for Victoria. But go even golf there in December. Like, there's no store to go. I mean, they let it melt. They just open the window and let it melt. So, great question. Thank you. Great question. Thank you. Please, other questions on air service?
I'd like to make a comment on the Minneapolis flight and the hard work that went into that, because it's I sit on the Saskatchewan Business Council, and I know we were putting a lot of pressure to get those things kind of moving. It's just hats off. That's a great project.
Thank you. It all helps, by the way, when you hear about pressure. This is a good pressure. Trust me, we want people to make noise. Because I tell the airlines all the time to fly here, tag United. Don't tag me. I'm already telling them. When we do these Facebook posts and people say, why can't you get these things? I've already asked. Like, please ask the airline too. We're trying. And we've got incentives for them, and we work with our chamber partners. The issue is not lack of trying. It's they have to just say, I only got so many planes. Where do I want to put them to make the most money I possibly can? So that's hence why the cost issue is a big deal. And that's why we really focus on cost containment at Regina. We have to be competitive and to get the planes we have. And we're doing pretty well. No joke, being where we're at today, we're at about 88%, 89% of 2019 levels. I don't like to say COVID anymore, I get tired of saying that. 2019 levels compared to some other mid-sized airports, we're doing very well. The big hubs, Toronto's, Montreal's, they fully recovered now because the airlines always deploy their capacity to the big cities first, then it's going to be your mid-sized Canadian cities. And they're doing well in our market. And thanks to, again, people like you for using our airport is what makes a difference. Okay, before I move on, air service, please. Yep.
You mentioned the flight from Saskatoon to Minneapolis. And I think you said it was a bigger plane.
Much bigger. It's a big jet.
How does that work? You guys have some choice over the size of the plane that's...
We had to wait. So I'm probably going to get quoted, and WestJet's going to be not very happy with me. I'll just say this. When you do a deal with an airline, I can't force anything on them. What I can do is encourage. At the time that the Saskatoon deal went forward, there was more availability of jets. The problem is 150 seats per plane is too much for us to fill. Back when we had United in our market, for those of you who remember, it was 2015 and before, or Delta in our market, they only flew 50 or 74 seat aircraft, not 150 or 180 seats. So WestJet, their jets are beautiful. If you've been in their new Maxes, right, they're awesome. They're nice to, like, as a traveler, I love them. But to have to fill 180 or 170 or even 150 seats on a single flight, we've never seen that type of scale out of Regina. And we have to be strategic. I take the tax dollar thing seriously, guys. I pay into these, like you all, into taxes. I don't want us to use this money, so I want the highest probability of success. The drawback is it's not as nice and clean. You have a Q400, it takes longer to fly. There's no first class in the front. But when it's full, like 80 or 90% full, it only needs about 60 passengers. Big, big difference. I want it to be profitable. So anyway, just for context again, we hope we don't see a bigger plane. I'd love to see WestJet eventually put a second frequency on, meaning an evening one to go with the morning one. That's better for our community, for circle routes and getting home, than having one gigantic plane every few days. That's what we do that. Yes, please. Yes.
Is it public knowledge? Can you share how much it does cost on that? Or
Oh, for sure. So we just, no, it's right on our website. If you're actually curious, we can break down the aircraft to give airlines an idea. Just round numbers. A domestic, larger 737 costs about $1,000 to land the plane based on their maximum takeoff weight at Regina per time they land. There's also a few additional fees depending on the nature of the airline. We have these computers in the terminal. I'm sure you've seen them. Common use terminals. We have a small fee for paper and kind of cost recovery. The you guys are who actually funds the airport through your $30 fee you pay us through the airline. It's on your ticket. Some people forget about that. Trust me, it's there. It says $30 and it'll say it'll be the airport improvement fee. That's actually how we fund the airport. It's not because of these $1,000 landing fees. An international flight, typically same size plane, about $1,500. I'm giving you just a general sense of scale for what I find you. But if you are curious and you're an airport nerd like me, on YQR.ca, right at the top, business at YQR, we've got all our aviation fees publicly posted. It's all based on weight of aircraft, and the last page is a big listing of common aircraft that come and how much it costs. Yeah, right on. Okay.
You mentioned earlier that you don't incentivize the same airline. Is that why Air Canada doesn't fly to Calgary?
No, Air Canada stopped flying to Calgary from 8 cities, not just Regina and Saskatchewan. Of course, the way the media covers it feels like it's just us.
Yeah.
Air Canada had a strategy shift. They dehubbed Calgary. Air Canada is focusing on Montreal. Airline strategy trumps loads and trumps almost anything that you would assume would be a regular business move. When they dehub and they build a hub, they put more pilots and people start living in these communities who fly these planes because they see a better opportunity for either profitability or connectivity. Calgary is WestJet's global fortress. Now, I'm not telling you what Air Canada's strategy is. You could see it. They stopped flying Calgary from 8 mid-sized Canadian cities, actually 7, and actually San Francisco lost service. I know it sounds like, wow, they lost service too. That's a huge city. Air Canada's focus is Montreal. That's why we, rather than fighting with Air Canada, we say, well, we're not happy. We don't want to lose Calgary, but we focus on how we can build with you, which is working with them on Montreal. Hence why we have the flight. Air Canada is not going to fly to Calgary anytime soon, folks. Don't hold your breath. Why would they? They've got a big base in Vancouver, they got a big base in Toronto, and they got a big base in Montreal. That's their strategy. Porter's got a big base in Ottawa. That's why I'm trying to focus on their strategy. If they do come back, they're going to pay less to land at my airport in Saskatchewan. That's all I can say. If they do come back. So, any other air service? I want to talk about projects in a moment. Just being mindful of time. Let's do that some time. So I have questions after too. Other air service questions? If you have a great question about other fees. Okay. All right. This is all stuff in my direct control. I was saying to you that I can't control what the airlines do. We should send them. But this is stuff my board and our staff actually work on together. So one thing I'm very proud to share with you is we are Southern Saskatchewan's main runway. For the airport people in the room, it's called 1331. So this 7,901 feet of economic growth called the main runway actually drives our economy. You know, our airport does over 800 million a year in GDP. If that main runway was not available, it would impact you here in Weyburn, it would impact Estevan. The amount of cargo and business opportunity that exists because we have this runway is massive. We just resurfaced the whole thing in the summer. We had to close it for 2 months. We had to operate on a crosswind runway, which has a bunch of risks I'll bore you with. But this was a $26.5 million investment that we paid for half of. Normally, we got to pay for all of it, but the government abandoned us during COVID. I've been very public about that. We got almost nothing from the federal government during COVID. I had to lay off 38% of my staff. Don't kid yourself. Wage subsidy doesn't help you when you got no passengers. That doesn't do anything. But the government did step up, and I'm proud to share, and I'm very appreciative that they did create a fund for airports a little later on called the Airport Critical Infrastructure Program, which we did successfully apply for, and they did give us $13.5 million to match the bank loan I had to take. I didn't have cash in the bank. But now we've got a beautiful runway for at least 15 years. And this means that you can depend on a safe operating service to bring in hundreds of millions of GDP for more than a decade to come. It was a big deal. But you all, including me, we paid for this through that fee at $30. This is what funds these programs. It's not that the board pays me. It's because we have infrastructure to pay for, fire trucks, taxiways, all that good stuff. But very exciting, we also put in a new lighting system on the south side. So that means when there's fog or we have low cloud cover during a snowstorm, which happens a lot in Regina, we can land the plane more easily. It's a great project. All in all, this project basically took the entire summer to do the work, tons of electrical work, and if you're wondering what these pictures are in the corner, it had 1950 storm drains. They cave in, and water and pavement do not mix. So we dug up a whole pile of the storm drains as well, and you can be confident that this is going to be good for a while, other than crack sealing and painting, obviously, you got to do. So very exciting. If you've been on our website recently, it's super optimized for your mobile devices. We actually can track if you're on an iPhone or Android or a home computer. Most people use our website on a phone now, just so you know. It's actually quite rare that people use a full-size desktop. It's iPads, Androids, and iPhones. So we really revamped the whole thing. Flights, of course, are front and center. We have lots of other information about parking. I'm going to do one quick little ad, please park. It's the thing that makes us a lot of revenue. We've lowered our fees. I've said this before in this room though. I just remind you, if you're going on a long trip, first 5 days are $15. After that, you only pay $7 a day. So we more than 50% off. What the idea is, you get a $75 for your first 5 days, then we drop the rate. That way, hopefully we'll go to Mexico or Europe. Maybe get to Greece if we can. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. We're talking about Canada and Greece. But if you park there, it'll be a lot less. You'll come back to as big of a bill. This has driven up our parking revenues considerably. Who doesn't want a good deal? You know what I mean? Like, who wouldn't? I don't want you parking in a hotel. Please consider parking at the airport if you can. I mentioned those kiosks. You'll see them today. They're very short. It's not because I'm short. They're all accessible. They're designed for that. So if you're in a wheelchair, so yes, the tall people have to bend over a bit more, but it's a lot easier for those who need the accessibility on them. They're also very fast now. We have like hamsters spinning in wheels because of how old the computers were before this year. This has been a nice improvement for our customers. We've also recently done a bunch of tech in the terminal, just like updating screens and the PA system. You know, you don't forget, but we lost like millions during COVID. We had to pause all of this stuff. But now we're chipping away without taking on more debt. The only debt we took on is that runway. Our board and management worked very closely to make sure we didn't go crazy with debt. Because it's only too easy to raise your fee. But the right thing to do is try to offer good value. This is key. I don't want to keep raising these fees. I want growth to come back. I want to have more planes. I want you to buy a sandwich, park, rent a car. That's where I want to generate revenue, not by taxing you more, adding more to your fees. So again, if you don't wonder why it takes us a while, it's because we're not trying to raise your fees to use the airport. Very excited about this. If you didn't know, it was our second year, and I encourage everyone from Wayburn to come down. We typically have been hosting an annual Indigenous market. This year was June 19th. This was to provide an economic opportunity for a whole pile of small businesses right in our terminal. So I went down a couple of weeks and actually some awesome hygiene products and naturally made items. They have clothing, they got food. We had actually quite a really cool presentation with some dancers. But we advertise the heck out of this thing on our Facebook and our social. So if you want to come down and support a small business an Indigenous-based business in our terminal. I'm sure we'll do this next year as well. Chamber. Well, I love our chamber in Regina. We also love this chamber. We did a big collaboration with our local chamber. I hope it was cost them nothing other than just some contra ad stuff with them in a good way. We basically branded a whole lounge area upstairs with the Regina and District Chamber of Commerce, allowing them to promote businesses. We added 3 phone booths. So please do not be the person walking around yelling at your phone and everyone can hear the conversation. I still see this happening. Oh, just one of our booths, they're right there. They cost nothing, they're free. We've got cool plugins on all the benches, nice seating. This is located when you walk out of security, just go to your right. There's a whole pile of new stuff to your right. This is actually the freshly renovated area. But as chamber people, be proud. This is going to support the business community in Regina. We did I already bragged a bit about tourism and the new folks there, but we did a big collaboration we just launched this summer with Tourism Regina. We have a brand new visitor kiosk that's actually staffed by their volunteers and staff members a number of days a week. So during the summer, not going to do the winter, but we have real humans there who will walk you through what's going on. And for them, it is in Regina, by the way. They're not on the waiver. It is like a Regina map. But something that I will say they want to build on, and this has been a really nice add to our airport to at least have a welcome and encouragement to those who come to our community. If you want to check it out on your own, there's like this digital screen you can scroll through, like all the events and what have you that will be on the Tourism Regina calendar. Just a better close-up of the digital assets that are there. I don't know if anybody who's in the equipment business cares about this stuff. I do. We bought a $1 million sweeper. Basically, it keeps your runway safe. So that new paved surface, we've got to get ice and snow off there. We have 16 people who are in the business of equipment operating. That's like a big chunk of my 50. We have to make sure they have modern equipment. So you have a very safe airport program. Just want you to make sure you know that. So just past the chamber bar, or the chamber area, you will see this. This is our latest and greatest. This used to be a blank wall that used to be a brioche before COVID. It's now the 306 Bistro and Bar. Please support this. This has got a different menu than the Skyway Grill. We have beer on tap. You don't have to drink, but I get 15% if you do, so please buy alcohol. But whether you drink or not, there's awesome breakfast food. They do lattes in the mornings, kind of more breakfast vibe in the morning, and then they do like lunch and dinner. They even have like lox and bagels. Who's putting white stuff with salmon? But they do stuff like that too. I don't get it. Or Jocelyn knows. I don't like that white stuff. But anyway, they've got amazing samosas. They've got butter chicken. It's a totally different menu than the Skyway, and it's brand new. It's really nicely renovated. And again, being value conscious as an airport, we actually used the back of house that was already sitting there that we had to close off when COVID hit. So we didn't have to put a whole new kitchen in. We basically put a new front end, new merchant, new vibe, new feeling. And I'm sure you know 306 is the area code. That was a whole kind of fun vibe on it. And you're all like rolling your eyes. Yes, Jay, we got it. 306. Anyway, it's great. But check it out. And there's lots of seats there. And even if you don't eat or drink at that time, just look at it so you know what's there for the next time. And there's grab and go items as well. If you just want to grab a salad or whatever, or a drink, they're all there. So please check it out and please patronize the 306 or one of the other merchants like Tim Hortons that you may already like. We're almost done here, folks. This is, again, brand new in the last 12 months. We did a big reno, and we took out the merchant that used to take up all our viewing area. We now have a beautiful viewing area right by the baggage carousel. So if you're picturing in your mind's eye the airport, there's 3 baggage carousels, look to your left. We removed all the tinting that was on the windows. You can now bring the kids, you can check out planes. We even put up a little stair thing, so if you're a little kid, you can get up and see what the heck's going on the airfield. Very family focused. I'm sure you know we have a child's play area as well, post-security. This is pretty good for a guy who doesn't have his own kids, but I love kids, and I want them running around the terminal. I want parents to appreciate that stuff for them to do when they're there. So hopefully they'll buy a coffee and wait for your friends to be picked up. So this is all located on, this no charge, all located on the main floor, right by our Brioche Doré restaurant that's there. And then finally, if there's any developers in the room, or if you know developers, we are aggressively pursuing land development. This is all leased land. We can't sell land. We want to see more development at the airport, aviation, like hangars under it. We also have some lands that are coming available for non-aviation uses. Could be warehousing, distribution, logistics. We have other very unique opportunities for air cargo. This will be a longer term play we're talking with the board about right now. These things take years, not months, but I just want to put the word out to the business community. If you know of people who are thinking about new development ideas and think an airport might be for them, please send them our way. You can certainly go through the chamber for our contact details. We're not hard to find. YQR.ca, there's a whole development section there. And it was our birthday this year, 25 years. I will be, in less than a year, apparently, if Tara told me properly, the longest serving CEO ever since we've been a company. Not yet, though. Mr. Hunter still has the crown. But I'm not planning on going anywhere, guys, right? You're going to keep me around? No? Oh, thank God, okay. My boss are in the room, so. But no, I love this airport. I love this community. Guys, we're finally back, and it feels great. It was a tough, everyone felt, it was a tough 4 years. I didn't come to this community to lay 30% of my staff off. I didn't come here to have 10 days of May 2020 where not a single plane landed. I didn't come for that. But I stuck it out. We've rebuilt. And I hope what you're seeing is sensible investment, not over the top. That's representative of Saskatchewan, our values, our love. And I love this place. I'm real proud that we just hit 25 years as a company. And you'll notice your logos right there on the screen. And this is because of our partnerships. Whether it be chambers, tourism, economic, cities, we show love and we get love back. And I want to thank this room for listening. So what I hope you found was some good information today. And in a moment, we're going to do some prizes with some trivia. But before that, I want to say thanks again for listening. I'd love to take any questions. Thank you very much for your time. All right, questions before trivia. Kyle's going to give me a hand here in a moment. So, any questions? Yes, please.
I have a lot of questions, but I'll try to. You said when you first started the presentation, you were like, you asked me anything, and I was like, first of all, I was like, why is there only one cafe on the main floor?
We had zero. We only had one cafe in February of 22 because we didn't have any business. So the ground side or pre-security does terribly. It's like a service. It loses money. Everybody wants to get to the airport, even though they tell us they want a cafe. No, not my sales. Remember when I put there Tim Hortons, I've had different brands. They want to go through security because it's stressful. And you want to get to your gate, then you typically will buy food or buy retail. This is not a Regina problem. This is Victoria where I used to work, and it's not even a problem. So we actually have to incent the merchants to even have the hours they have there because they can't make any profit. I'll be honest with you too, the type of use that's there today, I want to see evolve. It's great to have a place that sells sandwiches and coffee, but what we will likely evolve to is more of a retail / food outlet, something a little bit more like a convenience store style, where you can get things at 1 o'clock in the morning when you're back from Mexico. You're not looking for a big latte and a sandwich because it's closed, they don't have business. You wonder, there's like 150 people here, why the heck's it closed? I'd be saying that if I was a customer, because we weren't buying those products. But you know what they might buy? Some Tylenol, so kids were in the plane yelling at them for 8 hours, or a bag of chips, or a pop, or maybe a grab-and-go coffee, maybe to kind of press yourself like a gas station. That's a more realistic offering, but what we had available to us was a license from Brioche. We had a merchant willing to operate it, and it's going to be that, or I'd have nothing still independent, and we wanted more than that. So, hope that answers your question. This is like airport economics. A lot of people don't think about that stuff, but the merchant's got to make money, and if they can't make a profit, they're just losing money, and that's unfortunately the reality of pre-security retail restaurants. Well, sorry, I'll come right back to the process. Yes.
I was just wondering, like, so the runway, clearly a massive project.
Yes.
Is there any other ones on the horizon that you know you're going to be needing to deal with prior to, like, paying out that loan, for instance, or whatever?
Yes. Now, I learned to keep my job. I don't get too far ahead of my work, so I like to talk to them first, but I'll just say we have a master plan. The master plan sort of outlines growth-related projects once we get beyond like where we were before. The next big trigger for us would be when our airport gets to 1.4 million passengers, which we've never achieved. The best we've ever been is 1.2. It's going to require us to move security from the upstairs to the downstairs. which if you think about that, it's gonna totally change the look of the second floor. But that's gonna displace a whole pile of things and cost millions of dollars. Thankfully, we don't have that problem yet today. The board's gonna have to take some deep breaths and go, okay, good, we got some time to like budget and figure all that out. That's one big one. And I would say the other one, and this is one that we're committed to today, we've been doing this. I'm of the view that we want to make smaller, incremental improvements that you're noticing. Whether it's a 306 bistro and bar, whether it's a child's play area. I want to be able to make these investments so we can pay out of cash flow and not take long-term debt on. We've got about 50 million in debt on the books. It's not that bad compared to many airports, but it's still 15 million. That means the bank's doing well. I'd like to see us slowly pay that debt back before we make another, $20 million renovation. And the final thing, just to really give you a complete answer, is Canada Border Services. If we get more U.S. flights, we've got one now year-round. The winter is very busy. What I don't like is if the lineup on that staircase is too congested. I don't like that. The board's going to see soon. We're going to see if we can find a modest way to improve that experience without building like a massive wing onto the building. And it gets into the tens of millions, like snapping your fingers. So those are a few things on the horizon, but right now it's air service, keeping our fees low, just doing things that hopefully you'll notice as customers, equipment for equipment operators, and just, I call it back to basics, you know what I mean? Back to basics, let's not be too over the top, the Saskatchewan way, you know what I mean? That's kind of what we're thinking, so, please. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, industry marketing, actually, I think I saw on Instagram something, the one about the MSP. Oh, okay.
This is Kyla.
Okay.
We work together on marketing. Kyla's actually the brains behind the operation, does a lot of our social media. We also have some wonderful local businesses we employ, like Bravo Tango and what have you, who help us with this. So give a round of applause to Kyla, which is a great I'm just the guy talking, but that's it. They do all the work for me. Other questions before we get to trivia? And we'll get some prizes right. I know you guys got to run, it's probably close to 1 o'clock.
I just give you a quick plug on
Please.
Bistro. It's a fantastic place.
Well, I was gonna say, is there a reason why your website doesn't say landed? Because I know in Calgary, like once I'm watching like planes coming in, or like I will say landed, but yours just says on time and doesn't ever go to landed. And I'm just, is there like a strategic reason for that?
No, airlines, we get blamed for everything, just so you know. Airlines are the ones who feed that data. So the word landed means something different to everyone. Landed means you think the plane's on the ground. Does that mean it's 15 minutes until it's the gate? Does that mean it's 10 minutes until it's the gate? I always remind customers to go on a high level of detail. The airline websites are your best source of data. All I get is a feed of data that they're supposed to update for us, and it automatically spits it back out on the website. So we are of the view that if the airlines provide a status of on time, we will give that same status. We won't go to one extra piece. Calgary also is a wonderful airport, but they're also the third busiest in Canada. They have well over 20 million, or close to 20 million passengers. They've got additional technology that might give more confidence in those status reports. I don't have people watching all the time. Yeah. Okay, trivia time. Do we do that? Any other questions before I run here? Okay. How many prizes do we got? 6. 6 prizes. Okay. Here's the deal. It's only things I said today. You don't get to Google it. Anyone who looks at their phone, you're not going to do not shout out the answer. Media is allowed to, by the way. It's all this is the fun part. If you bring your phone down. So I promise you I said it in the presentation, although I don't talk fast sometimes, I definitely said it. One last time, you put your hand up. I will randomly in my brain scramble it and pick somebody. Do not shout the answer, okay? That's our deal. All right. Question number 1. I was lamenting on the massive bank loan I had to pull for the runway because the government was very good about supporting half of that project. And I was saying how important it was for the GDP of Southern Saskatchewan. And I even gave you a GDP number, which I'm not asking for. But I did specifically tell you to the foot how long my main runway is. How long? There.
7,901 feet.
He was listening. All right.
I think your wife would like you to listen that much at home.
Yeah. That was to the foot. All right. Next question. So I was sharing with you that Regina had for 2 years. And I sort of made a reference. I'll just say the reviews were mixed. It is what it is. Didn't survive. I then shared with you that WestJet, to compete with low-cost carriers, or the one left now, we used to be two, but now there's one, brought out a new fare class. I want you to tell me the name of the new fare class. Go ahead.
Ultra basic.
You got it. Ultra basic. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Next. I was sharing with you that we have, our two major carriers, and you know all these stats. 32% increase in WestJet. That wouldn't be fair to make you memorize all that. But I told you we're courting another airline called Porter. I was very specific about that. And I lamented on the fact they got nicely appointed aircraft. But I told you in my remarks how many seats were on the new Embraer. I didn't use Embraer, I said the seats on that aircraft. I was very specific. How many seats on the new Porter aircraft? I gave you even a map on the screen to show you. How many seats? Okay, I'll back up question. What airport did I say they were known to operate out of in the corner? Nope. Oh, sorry. Nope, he said Ottawa. They got a new base. The question is, where were they known to operate from? Like, what's their roots?
Billy Bishop.
That's it, Billy Bishop. Ottawa's the current one, to be fair. I did say Ottawa in my remarks, saying that they were growing into that airport today, that they're known for Billy Bishop. So kind of a trick question, I got you. I apologize. Okay, moving on.
How many seats?
132. Embraer, 132. 2 and 2. It's very nice, very nice. All right. In my remarks, I shared with you that we had a wonderful visit from my colleagues from Air Canada. I told you guys that the Chamber of Commerce in Regina helped host it. I broadcasted the day in August that we had that day.
August 28th.
You got it, August 28th it is. Well done. I thought it was a very chambery question, right? From the chamber. We got 2 left? 2 left. Very good. Excellent. Okay, we're doing GDP. So I was saying to you that, and I was making a bit of a joke about how important runway was, but saying that it was an economic driver for a community. I then gave you a very specific, to the nearest 100 million, GDP impact of Regina Airport to southern Saskatchewan. I saw a hand go up there. You said 853? It's one guess, it's not correct, but you're not far off.
Is it 888?
888, no?
Bad listener.
They went the wrong direction. 853 is about to win. One last guess. 800 was the number I was quoted on. You take 853. Well done. Okay, very good. Well done. All right. Flights. We're very proud that Minneapolis is now back on. I'm sure you are too. Why would you not be the second flight? I also was lamenting that we're going to be daily service, remember. Every day you get a flight out of my airport, 365. It's not seasonal. I then told you that they connected with what's called the Delta code share. I showed you this octopus on the map. And I gave you a number, approximate number, of how many U.S. cities you can connect with the Delta code share. Go ahead, sir.
17?
Nope. It's way off. Nope. I heard 47. One more guess. That's the closest. More than 17.
33.
No. I'm going to do one more try. Come on. You're all going to know this after. Oh, you already win?
No.
Okay.
76.
It's 70 is what I said. So 70 U.S. connections. Congratulations. Awesome. All right. I have consumed enough air today. I want to say thank you very much. If you have extra questions, please put them through your chamber, and we'll be happy to take them. And will I be invited back again, maybe 18 more months again? I would really appreciate it. And in the meantime, we appreciate the business you bring to our community. We appreciate the business you bring to our airport. Please tell your friends we really care. And I mean that. Thank you, Wayburn, and thank you for having us today. Have a great afternoon.